We are in Paris! Yay, okay, so I have some little travel tips to share with you, food recommendations, and an invitation to sit and enjoy being in Paris with us for a little while. Here we are arriving very early in the morning, and on the day of arrival, I just took some videos here and there of where we went whilst waiting to go to the Airbnb. I don't know about you, but I typically don't count the day we arrive as the first day, even if we do have almost a whole day, just because I like to think of the first day as being from the first morning we wake up wherever it is that we're staying, and we're well rested, we're not carrying luggage around with us, and we can truly invest ourselves into exploring and experiencing. So I think of this as like day zero. In these early hours, we were blessed with some lovely moments like the intensely pink sunrise and some friendly French ducks to greet us. And right from the get-go, Han put her French into practice at restaurants and shops, which made me very proud, grateful, and happy to see. But the inwards journey was 14 hours of travel and then another 9 hours of idle waiting for the arrival time for the Airbnb, which was 3 p.m. I hadn't planned this trip in advance as much as I normally would have, so we very awkwardly filled those 9 hours not really knowing what to do, even though we'd purposely chosen to get into Paris early so that we'd have almost an extra day of activity. And that didn't end up happening because of how cold it was, shops not being open, not a lot to do that we could just walk to whilst being so tired and having our luggage on us, etc. So for our next travels, we'll have to reassess how realistic and practical that decision making is or how we can make it work. So we were beyond grateful to reach the Airbnb, and I remember us both feeling so exhausted, but little did we know that we'd end up with a 26-hour journey on the way back home. But basically, we just spent the Airbnb time napping. So once napping was done, next on the agenda was going to sleep. Hello, it is our first morning here. If you look, does this look right? I don't know, maybe it looks fine. I guess we'll see. It's our first morning here. We sort of had a slow start because we didn't do any planning yesterday. We literally napped and then we slept, as I said last night. So it's nearly 11, but our plan today is to visit the 16th arrondissement. And we're gonna sort of like spend these 5 days working from the place furthest away from us, and then by the 5th day visit the arrondissements that are closest to us, so that by the end of the trip we're not too tired to venture out too far. So what we'll do today is go to what I have found seems to be a nice viewing platform for the Eiffel Tower, rather than actually going to the Eiffel Tower, because neither of us are particularly interested in like going up it or going in it or just standing at the bottom and looking up at it. We'd rather see it from a nice view, and hopefully it won't be quite as busy as actually just going to the Eiffel Tower. So
So that's the first plan, and then we'll go grab some lunch to have in a picnic, have in a park, and then choose a museum to go to because I made this list of museums to choose from. So she's one of those. And then after that, we'll maybe find a market and then think about heading home. So hopefully, now that it is 11 o'clock, we can fit all that in. But yeah, we shall see how today goes. I'm very excited. The weather looks lovely. And yeah, that's the plan. So I hope Han, I, and you all have a great day together. So yeah, I'm just gonna finish doing up my makeup. Ooh, I have a hive on my bottom waterline. That's the other thing, is I get covered in hives very easily, and so I think with the water in a city like Paris being hard water, I've kind of ended up being covered in hives already today, but that's okay. I'll take an allergy tab, an antihistamine, when we manage to get our hands on some water, and hopefully they'll be fine after that. Can we pop into like a little supermarket thing and get some water from the way? Yeah, if we leave in 15 minutes. Yeah, sure. I'm really done now.
One thing about me is that I love an underground. It just scratches a part of my brain and makes me so incredibly excited and happy when I get to experience metros in other countries. The trains that circulated the outer arrondissement seemed like they were much older, and so they definitely were more cramped, especially as the seats are laid out differently to over here. They don't just face each other along the walls, so that's just something to be aware of. Now, I don't know why I was chatting like it was a unique or original thought of me to suggest going to a viewing platform opposed to directly to the Eiffel Tower. I hope it didn't come across that way, but my point being that it definitely was busy and a tourist hotspot in itself. But the area is so large that it isn't particularly overwhelming, and you can quite easily find a nice place to view the Eiffel Tower and take photos. I'd say the main thing to mention is that there are lots of photographers there who want to capture that souvenir moment for you. They're all showing the exact same example photos. If you say, "No, merci," some will respect that and move on, whilst others will try to pester you for a bit. It's worth being mentally prepared for, but honestly, they do leave you alone after a while. And from there, it's just an under half-hour walk straight to the Musée Marmottan Monet. Or, of course, there is the option of public transport, but we always choose to walk wherever we can to take more in. We didn't book tickets online in advance, which in hindsight, I would recommend doing so, as you can queue and wait in the no ticket line like we did to then buy them once you're in. But I believe they were letting groups of people from this queue in every half hour to hour, so it's definitely a much more efficient use of time to just buy the tickets in advance. So let's take a look around the museum, shall we? So on the walk towards the museum, we came across this patisserie, which we'd made a mental note of to come back to, and I think the pastries looked better than they tasted. Or maybe I just made the wrong choice, as mine was slightly underwhelming, and Han did say the same for her croissant. But no fear, there are plenty more pastries coming up in this trip to make up for it. A favorite part of our holidays is always making our own home-cooked dinners back in the Airbnb out of ingredients from the local market or supermarket. Just cooking with things we don't usually have at home, but still making a meal that is familiar and comforting to us because we're the ones making it. I feel like for a lot of people, they don't like to cook whilst on holiday. It makes it feel like not a holiday, in fact. And I completely understand, and I wouldn't want to be cooking all the time either. But the reason why we've grown fond of doing so is that it's grounding and replenishing for us, especially as Han is vegan and we do just love cooking for each other. Cooking our own dinners whilst on holiday means that we know we're eating the foods and nourishment that have become routine in our daily life, which we know fuels and sustains us, which, when traveling and exerting more energy than usual, perceiving more stimuli than usual, is really important to make sure we're doing that. So continuing that baseline of meals throughout travels, as well as our life at home, has become a staple when we're away somewhere. I think what we made this particular evening was a veggie and tofu teriyaki stir fry. My personal opinion is that a stir fry is never complete without cashews. The tofu that we found in Paris was mwah. I wish we could have taken a whole suitcase of it home just for Han, because it was ideal for her. They had seeded basil and herb tofu, I believe it was. Anything with seeds in makes for a happy time for Han.
I'm so glad we made our own dinner.
It's important to me to not just do touristy things or only put the focus onto the country that we're in and learning about itself. I also like to think, how can we connect to this new place in a way that is personal to us and our interests? So it makes me happy to find places that I think Ham will enjoy. So like in the Korea vlog, I found a record store for her. This one is La Chapelle 14 and it is a very unique place. It's a record store cross cafe, and the cafe feels like it's a museum, but that's because this place is also an art gallery. There's also some really cool apparel available to purchase. In terms of music, it's basically all techno and house, but spans across subgenres too. And downstairs is all secondhand stuff for around only 5 or 6 euros. This place is a bit confusing to find. If you're following Google Maps, it'll take you to a giant door on the main road. So you just press the buzzer on the right, and then once you're through, you walk right to the end of this courtyard space, and at the back is where you'll find La Chapelle 14. Video game soundtrack thing, and it just looks adorable. And we like cartoon music, so seems like that's the vibe. So let's try that for 5 euros. yeah. So this one I'm struggling to pronounce, and out of not wanting to disrespect the French language, I'm afraid you're gonna have to just read the name of it on the screen for me, please. This is a lovely little bookshop cross art shop, and definitely felt like a safe, queer space with so many little worlds to find in the various books and scenes and art that they had available. So if you want to find a new French author or artist, I'd recommend coming here. We didn't spend particularly long in Montmartre because our mood was calling to go back to the Airbnb for a break, so we just had a little walk around, which that in itself is absolutely worth doing as it's situated at the top of a hill. I actually loved the walk up to the top. It felt very rewarding, but be prepared for, of course, lots of stairs and inclines. And so I've seen online that in the summer this is a great place to watch the sunset. There's also the square full of artists selling original pieces and doing live portraits, and standing in the middle of it felt like being in a movie. But I will say that it was very busy and did feel quite touristy, and there are a lot of souvenir shops. I'd recommend doing your research as to what's there, because we found ourselves swept up in the crowd, walking around a bit and then leaving.
Because they've got a...
This is Bloom, a completely vegan sushi restaurant, and oh my gosh, when I tell you, I wish I could relive this meal every single day. The combinations of flavor that were so thoughtfully and intricately paired together in the sushi made for such a rich and vibrant tasting experience. And my personal favorites were the crazy mushroom California rolls, which had this delicious hazelnut puree, and also the enoki maki rolls. But don't worry if you're not a mushroom fan, although I would argue that these dishes could convert you. There is something on this decadent menu for absolutely everyone to enjoy. So make this an absolute must go to when you are on your eating travels around Paris. Feel free to dig in. If you can. Good morning. Good morning. I sound absolutely gross and sniffly and bunged up, which I don't know if that's because I genuinely am now ill or because sometimes during the night I just get bunged up because of dust and things, and by the morning I'm fine. But I think it might be a combination of both. So if I sound like this for the remainder of this vlog, then we have that to really, really look forward to. So today is our last full day. We are having some breakfast. I'm gonna have some cheese and bread. Oh, that is a very warm radiator. What are you having for breakfast?
I'm having
Something.
some salad and some olives and some bread.
Ooh.
And maybe we could do some tofu for lunch.
Oh yeah. Oh, because we were gonna pack some sandwiches and we were gonna do some sliced tofu in yours and some salmon in mine.
Yeah, sounds good.
So there's a plan. And today we are gonna try and do a little Chanel tour. Maybe not buy anything Chanel because that's expensive as of right now.
Have a look around.
I one day that will not be expensive for me, but today it is. But I love Chanel and everything Chanel. So of course you can. Please come here. How cute the lighting is.
I know. It's very bright, isn't it?
Hello. So we're gonna do Chanel, and then we're gonna find some sort of workshop to do, and mainly enjoy the nice sunshine because it's beautiful today.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. I really need to get a vlogging mic of some sort.
Yeah. To be fair, the SM58 wasn't too bad.
Yeah, but then I have to bring the entire interface, and I have to bring the leads, and I have to bring everything. It's
true.
not gonna work.
That's true. Yeah, we'll get something pluggy-y for it.
I feel like we could fit one more thing in the itinerary today.
Maybe we could...
Oh, we were going to go to a vegan patisserie.
Oh, yeah. Oh, cool.
And so we'll experience the sun walking to all those things.
My toast smells burnt.
Okay. Oh, how I wish we could have seen this beautiful park in all its flowery and green glory in the summertime. But, cute story though, Han realized that she came to this park as a child with her parents, and at the time, her primary school was hosting a photography competition for entries to create a wildlife-themed calendar. So her and her dad took a photo of a row of trees in this very park, and her submission won and was included in the school calendar. I just think that's such a lovely, cool memory. So Han tried to find that very spot to recreate the photo whilst we were there. So on this evening, we decided to get takeaway. We spent a long time scrolling through Deliveroo, as one usually does, and decided to get Thai food. Although the plan was originally to get something French, and we should have stuck with that plan. I don't even remember the name of the restaurant we chose. It was just a very unfortunate choice because it was awful. It was one of those instances where the photos look great, but what turns up isn't even remotely similar. You know, I'm always going to favor authentic and genuine Thai food or a home-cooked Thai meal, but when I'm not in Thailand, that's of course not what my expectation is. I think it's fun and at times necessary to put a spin on a Thai dish to appeal to the ingredients and the people of the country the restaurant is in. And it can be done so well. But this sadly was not an example of that. Evening vibes were immaculate though. And after we put the food aside, Hannah accepted the fate of her t-shirt being covered in red wine after an explosion and the cork going straight into the bottle as we drank cork bits in our drinks. And I turned the camera off and we settled into our evening. It ended up being our favorite one of the trip and just a really good memory.
Camera is dying, so I made this a quick one. It is our last morning here, and so it's just the typical things of tidying the flat away, being polite guests, using up whatever food we've accumulated during our stay. But we're very fortunate that our Airbnb host is very kind, because I asked her could we leave our luggage here until later because our coach isn't until 9:30 and the checkout was at 12 p.m. and she said you can stay here until 9:30. So that basically just gives us an extra completely free day to roam around Paris. So we're very, very fortunate about that. So yeah, let's go another day.
I didn't film this extra day, but I do wonder whether it would have been worth it or not. In all honesty, on this last day, I had a tsunami of anxiety and was so overstimulated. Side note, we found vegan hotel. This isn't widely available in the UK, so I was very excited about this momentous occasion. It absolutely lives up to this anticipation. It only tastes like 1% difference from the original, and if you are vegan and have tasted dairy in a long time, you're not going to be able to tell the difference at all. It's just wonderful. Okay, back to the anxiety. And naturally, I wouldn't have been inclined to film that anyway. And this is genuinely not a question in mind of digging for content, but how do you feel when someone shares their raw and unfiltered moments online? Is it comforting to see someone you can relate to? Is it reassuring to see not just someone's highlight reel, but also the ups and downs? Or do you see it as oversharing, as being broken away from the content you did choose to watch because you wanted a moment away from your own struggles, maybe? I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out the direction of my videos and would truly value your opinion in the comments below. This has been our trip to Paris. Thank you for coming with us.